Today is a very special day because we actually just closed our doors for our last day open for 2024. And to celebrate, I am going to do a little bit of work on a personal bike of mine since I'm done working on other people's bikes for the year. So no more tune-ups, no more bike sales. We're going to be closed till after New Year's. And then after that, we're really getting into the slow time of year. So there's going to be more fun projects like this. I also have a whole lot more of what I like to call whiteboard content coming out, which is going to be more like explaining a specific niche of something that's going on in our business or something that has worked for us in our business. So there's going to be a little bit of variety to not just watch me work content, but business related content as well. So without further ado, I'm going to get into this. This is my go-to everything bike. So I have an all-city Cosmic Stallion. It's a 2022 model. And something that's actually interesting about this bike interesting about this year, I should say, is this is the final year for all-city. There are not going to be all-city models beyond 2024. So I'm looking at what is potentially going to become a collector's item. We'll see. I've loved this bike. It's probably been the nicest bike that I've ever ridden. It's a weird combination of a steel frame and carbon wheels and carbon front fork. So you don't normally get the mix of steel frame and performance oriented. I think on their website they describe it as a performance oriented thoroughbred. And I would agree with that statement. It's a very unique bike. It's probably the most comfortable steel frame bike that I've ever had that still can really tackle hills. Of course, not the really, really steep hills because it is a one-by drivetrain, but as a commuter, it's worked wonders for me. Also, having the capacity for the thicker wheel is really nice, especially getting into the winter time. So this morning was probably my coldest ride. It was about 28 degrees coming in. So my lungs hurt, but I'm at least not getting jarred around. Whenever I cut through grassy areas and the ground's real hard right now, I've still got a pretty plush feel out of this with the wider tires and the steel frame. So I really enjoy this bike. I did a bike tour on it as well. I actually did the Ring Road of Iceland in the summer of 22. So this bike has seen some wear and tear. I haven't given it as much love as it deserves. So I'm going to do a couple small projects with it. I don't think it needs like an overhaul, but I am just going to tune a couple things up. I have this sad little bike bell that has kind of lost its ring. So I'm pulling that off. And I'll probably do a rewrap of the handlebar tape and a couple other small tweaks. So let's get into it. I'm going to start with some simple green. Just get everything all clean. Get a little bit of warm water on there. I think I'm going to pull some of these accessory items off as well. Pretty sure the battery's dead in at least one of these lights. This Bontrager 1000 lumen, I've loved this. This is probably one of the nicer front lights that I've used. It has that setting that's, I don't even really know how to describe it. Let's see if I can turn it on. This one. So it's not necessarily blinking outright, it kind of just fluctuates in brightness. I find that that has slightly less of a seizure effect. but still makes you really nicely visible from a long distance because cars really can't ignore that, which I suppose is the point of the fluctuation. But yeah, Bontrager 1000, very nice light. This other one, what is this? E-Lume 350. I think this one might be broken. I've charged it once or twice. I press the button. It turns on for a second. I don't know. Maybe I'll keep messing with that. A couple of rear lights. This is another one that's amazing. Surface or Surface, however you say it. Oh, I was going to show you the cool features of this, but it's dead, which is why I'm doing maintenance on this bike, because I need to check on things like that, especially when I'm riding home in the dark today. Let's see if I can get this pouch off. Get this a little bit cleaner. I put about 1,000 miles on this bike when I took it around Iceland, and I bet in the rest of its life, it's probably only accumulated about that many more miles, 1,000. So I've only put 2,000 miles on this in the 2 years that I've had it, which to some people will say that sounds like a lot, but to people that ride, or at least commute regularly, they know that 1,000 miles a year is not all that much. 20 miles a week, you figure, 50 weeks in a year. So that's like 2 trips to work and a trip to the grocery store will get you to 1,000 miles in a year. For around town use, I'm all in on the 1x drivetrain. And in Iceland, it wasn't too bad because the roads are pretty mellow there. Even with this thing packed up with weight, I don't think I can remember a single time where I wished I had lower gearing. But if I were to do, say, a tour across the US, I definitely would go for at least a 2x, if not a 3x up front. Or if I was doing even a shorter trip, but if I was packing heavier. I did take this up the Gap, but of course that's a flat ride as well. But a 1x11, unless you live in like San Francisco, that'll do you just fine riding around town. This almost looks like my front wheel is dirtier than the rear, which is unusual. All right. I'm going to start with this headset. I actually do have to take the stem off to get to this bike bell. It's an interesting design. It's actually takes the space of one of the headset spacers. So I'm going to pop that off. I don't think I'm replacing this with another bell. I'm just gonna keep it clean for now. Grab one of these guys. And I might even, I'm debating, because I gotta put another spacer in there to take the place of the bell. I think I'm gonna put a slightly smaller spacer on and bring my headset down just a hair. So that one's about the same length. Of course, I didn't put my spacer within arm's reach before taking this off. So now I gotta strap this up. Make sure I don't end up with a mess on the floor. Let's find me a spacer. That one is the same size. There's a slightly bigger one. And that one's a hair smaller, probably 2 millimeters smaller. I'm gonna put it at the base. Yeah, I think that'll do. Oops. Uh-oh. I think something fun might have just happened. I unthreaded this a little bit far. Either that or it just broke, and that would be a huge bummer. Ooh, that would be a huge bummer. Let's see if I can find a light. That kind of looks like the threading broke on there. Let's see what we're looking at. I'm gonna make use of this headlight. Oh, I'm on strobe. Whew. It looks like I'm flipping this upside down. Well, this got interesting. I thought this was gonna be a pretty quick and easy one. Don't try this at home. Come on. I'm gonna need the mallet. Ah, there we go. Just fell into my hand. All right. Ugh. Let's see what kind of mess I'm looking at here. I think I just unthreaded it a hair too far, and so the mechanism just kind of spilled out. You can see it's like these little bits held in by this band. So I just gotta finagle that back together and get it back into its threading. Ooh, it's tricky. That's tricky. A little bit of open heart surgery on camera. It's probably hard to see what I'm doing. There we go. Getting some thread action. And we're back. All right. Let's see if we can resume our regularly scheduled programming. Fingers crossed, nothing falling in this time. It's still acting a little funny. The thing about these types of spacers is they have to be almost flush with the inside of the steer tube when you put them in. So there's enough friction against the inside that when you turn it, it'll continue to thread and it pushes those spacers out. But if it's too thin, it'll have no friction. Which, I'm not a big fan of the design. I like the star-fangled nuts more. But it's what they decided to go with on the All City. There we go. Let's get that straight. For some reason, when a bike's in the stand, I never seem to get it 100% straight, because as soon as I'm standing over the bike, I can see it's like 1 degree off, and it drives me insane immediately, and I have to fix it before anything else. It looks straight to me now, but I'll definitely double check it on the ground. It's one thing that blows my mind whenever a customer bike comes in. It'll be like 5 degrees off. I'll be like, how did you not notice this? You came in complaining about the shifting. I hop over the bike and I can see that the front wheel is not in line, like not even close to in line. But a surprising number of people, they'll just ride the bike. They don't notice that the headset is off. That would drive me crazy. Okay, so removed our bell. I'm gonna go ahead and rewrap these bars next. I did there's probably a name for this. I call it the old man wrap. I got some nice Brooks handlebar tape and I wrapped it right over top of the existing bar tape to make a really nice plush, like thick grip. But I did that a while ago and it's starting to come apart a little bit here and there. And it's that time of year where I can put a little bit of time and attention into minuscule things like my own personal bar tape being slightly off. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrap. Just so I can have everything perfect on my own personal bike going into the new year. I wonder if car mechanics are the same way, where they neglect certain things on their cars because they're too busy working on other people's cars. Huh. Looking for the seam on this tape. Ah, there we go. I just cut my fingernails, and that's making this job harder than it needs to be. There we go. Now we're getting the tape. I'm definitely going to put some fresh tape around here. This is feeling pretty gunky. I also got a little overzealous with how many times I wrapped that. All right. So if you've checked out any of my other channel videos so far, I'm sure you've seen that it's a little bit of a hodgepodge. I imagine that's what most YouTube channels look like in their first few months, is just kind of figuring everything out. There's a steep learning curve to shooting yourself, even like doing really, really basic videos. Like if the lighting is not just so, and the sound is like, nobody wants to watch a video where you can't hear what the hell someone's saying. And then the lighting, I mean, I still don't have that down, but I like to think that I'm getting better. See if I can get this. Trying to get a really tight figure 8 right in around where the shifter is, because that's where it's starting to come out a little bit. Also, this Brooks bar tape is not like the cheaper MSW stuff. Like, it's really, really thick, which makes a nice feel for your hands, but it is tougher to wrap. You really got to put a surprising amount of tension on it. Like, even with how hard I was pulling, I think I don't quite have it here. Pull right on up. There we go. Now we're looking good. This is a first for me. I did this probably 5-6 months ago. I was like, you know, I'm gonna get the fancy bar tape and I'm gonna put it right over top of my existing bar tape and see if it makes a really nice plush feel, and it does. I would highly recommend it. It's quite nice. Well, I got the wrap to look good, but I didn't get it to end exactly where I want it to. Let's try this again. I find that on average with a bar wrap job, you'll rewind and start again at a different spot on average, probably between 2 and 3 times. Unless you're like working in a road bike specific shop and you're just wrapping bar tape all day, every day. We sell less road bikes around here. More so hybrids, flat handlebar bikes. I wonder how many bars I wrap in a year. If I had to guess, probably about 100. First shop I worked at, though, I probably wrapped 300 or 400 in a year. It was Road Bike Central. All right. I think I am going to be overzealous again and wrap this. You probably only need to wrap it like 4 times, but I see a tiny little bump and I'm choosing to be OCD about it. I'm going to wrap it more like 8 times so I get a nice cover over that bump. Clean finish. If you're going to buy Brooks handlebar tape, you might as well make it look nice. There's one side rewrapped. And I think I'm going to use the light again to find my seam. Sticky. I think because I've been doing more casual riding around town, I must have my hands on the high position more often. Because there's definitely a good bit of stickiness, like right around the top, like that corrosion that comes from the sweat in your hands. Salt settling in. All right. So I kind of have the same thing going on with this one, where it's really just kind of coming apart around the figure 8. Just want to get a nicer pull around there. Yeah, you really gotta get tension on this. I might even wrap this one more time around the bottom. I don't think I'm gonna have to pull quite as tight if I do that. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just pull it really tight. Hope for the best. There we go. I'll often hug the front wheel with my legs when I'm wrapping bar tape just to help keep the handlebars under control. I don't know if that's just a me thing. I don't think I've seen anyone else do it. All right, let's see if I get lucky this time or if I'm gonna have to do a round 2. Oh, it's gonna be close. Let's see. I'm gonna do round 2, but not all the way back. Probably start here. I think part of the challenge of this is that there's bar tape underneath it, so I'm trying to wrap it such that it ends at a specific preset spot, which definitely adds to the challenge. Oh yeah, I think that might be it. Yeah. Sweet. I'll get my signature 8 wraps of electrical tape. Nice and snug. Perfect. I don't think that's quite 8, but I feel good. I feel good about it. Okay. Fresh tape. And got rid of the bell. I'm gonna go ahead and put that light back on and leave the dead one off. Be helpful for my ride home tonight. Wow, that's quite a bit of threading on that little lock there. There we go. And then let's see, I think I have a stubborn spot, at least somewhere on my cassette on the way down. Oh yeah, going from 4 to 5. There's definitely a hesitation. Play with that barrel adjuster, maybe the B tension screw a little bit. One thing I have noticed about SRAM 1x systems is that the B tension screw seems to come into play quite a bit, where that top cog will get really close. And I think part of it's just because it's a 1x, they're working with a larger cassette. You're trying to strike that balance between that top cog being, you know, not too close at the large ring, but not 10 miles away at the higher speed. And it's like one of those things where you're solving one side of the Rubik's Cube and then ruining the other side. So one disadvantage to like 1x11, 1x12. Adjusting the rear derailleur is definitely more specific. But one thing I'm noticing right now is that there's quite a bit of grime on those gears, so before doing any hardcore adjustment, I'm just gonna clean this up, because there's quite a bit of sticky residue. Oh yeah. Anyone who's ever done this, they know the satisfaction of pulling grime off of rear derailleur pulleys. That's what that satisfaction looks like. I'm gonna douse that drivetrain one more time. Clean it all up. Maybe even hit that cassette with a brush. Find that simple green, a little bit of water, hit the cassette with a brush, and then more fresh water. And then finally a little bit of compressed air. It's a good way to clean a drivetrain. Good way to make a mess too. And make plenty of fun noises. So even after cleaning this multiple times, you can see what's still coming off that chain. It's getting better though. So clean rag. And a little bit, but not as bad as that other spot. That was my first go around. I can see the chain starting to shine up too. Yeah, once you're starting to get like just a little bit, that'll be good enough. I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with the lube now. I use Finish Line Dry. Some people have strong opinions about lubricant. I think it's mostly the same. There's really, you know, there's either wet or dry. I'm gonna use dry for dry conditions, wet for wet conditions. The only thing I would say is don't use WD-40. That's not lubricant. I mean, technically it is lubricant, but it's just not going to last long. This stuff turns into sort of like a wax. Whereas if you put WD-40 on there, it's just gonna basically fall right off. You'll have lubricant for a ride, and then you'll have a dry chain. Yeah, I think adjusting the B-tension screw helped me out. A little bit of something interesting around the bottom here, though. Huh. Keeps wanting to jump a gear. Oh, that was cleaner. There we go. Nice. Already other end. Okay. Well, I have no complaints with my braking. I did notice the shifting issue when I was riding in this morning. I think I'm going to take it for a test ride now. Otherwise, I mean, I'd say the only other thing that I've noticed is a little bit of rust here and there starting to develop. I keep this bike inside, but I commute with it. So it's definitely been getting its fair share of rainfall. Just a little bit of rust in that collar bolt. But otherwise, oh yeah, a little bit of rust on the headset bolts too. Hit that with some Simple Green and lubricant. It's amazing how if you catch rust early, you can just wipe it right off the bike. Like it didn't even happen. So that cleaned up real nice. But yeah, I think that'll just about do it for this bike. I'm gonna put the rear lights back on. The one is dead, but I think this other one, yes, that'll get me home. That one will get me home. And then I'll go ahead and get this guy. This clip was acting a little funny. See if I can get it back on there. Oh, yeah, that was easy. Maybe it was this side that was acting funny. Nope. Got it. Okay. Well, I'm going to top off tire pressure. I think that might be it. I think we might be good on this bike. I was down to about 45. I just moved it to 65. My commute is about 95% pavement, and I weigh about 140 pounds. If I was a little bit heavier, I'd probably ride more like 75. That one was not low at all. It's at 60. All right. And then to finish off, let's see if the headset's off at all. I can always tell when I stand over the bike. Yep, it's probably like 1 degree to the left, if even. It's actually pretty darn close, but I'm a little bit OCD about that. I will notice it. So let's go ahead and get that straight again. Oh, a little bit too far. There we go. Well, hope you found this entertaining, or maybe a little bit informative even. If you have an All-City, comment below which model. I know a lot of people have the Space Horse. I've met less people that have the Cosmic Stallion. Bonus points if you have the Cosmic Stallion that has the titanium frame. I thought about splurging for that, but couldn't quite get myself to spend the extra, you know, close to $2,000 for the 3/4 of a pound. You tell me if I'm missing out. I'm gonna take this one for a test ride, make sure everything's up to snuff, and then ride it home. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video.